You're about to listen to Workplace Worldwide, a podcast featuring news, deep dives and interviews about our workplaces and workers' rights, worldwide.
Another one.
Welcome to this episode of Workplace Worldwide, where we have from the UK, from Conduct Change, Nicki Eyre joining us once again to share some incredible news about the progress of her legislation work when it comes to workplace bullying, and she's giving us a preview of the United Against Workplace Bullying Conference 2023. Stick around. Nicki is the founder and managing director of Conduct Change, a consultancy that aims to prevent and resolve workplace bullying. She has a varied career spanning public, private, and charity sectors and is a coach, consultant, and trainer with a specialization in workplace bullying. She also has led the Stop Hurt at Work campaign, which is focused on advocacy and awareness raising about workplace bullying. Nicki has spoken at events both in the UK and nationally and is a member of the International Association of Workplace Bullying and Harassment and a fellow of the Royal Society of Arts. Locked and loaded. Nicki's here with the credentials, that is for sure. Now, legends, I gotta tell you, we had a bit of a bin fire with the recording on this one because unfortunately, we had to record it again. I really want to thank Nicki for her professionalism and really just getting it over the line for what I think is a fantastic and informative interview. So bringing people back onto the podcast to follow their work is something that I have always wanted to do, and obviously we only got started with our regular broadcast this year, so we're doing it. And one of the reasons is that change in the workplace bullying space is slow. It is slow, but we're at a point now, and you really need to listen to this conversation with Nicki, where if you're living in the UK, you're probably going to be a beneficiary of her work. There is a chance that with the legislation that she and the team of people she's worked with to bring this legislation forward, to get it to the point where it's at, where that's going to have a very real impact on the lives of every UK citizen. Their lives will be better. They will be more protected in their workplace against workplace bullying. We have to share this work. It's so important. Next, and this is super exciting, we're going to be talking about the United Against Workplace Bullying Conference, which is happening on November 14 and 15, 2023. And as you'll hear in the interview, we are going to be announcing, well, it's not really an announcement. We're just going to sponsor 3 people to be able to attend this conference. You can participate no matter where you are in the world because all of the conference is recorded, but there should be some matchups across the time zones. So all you have to do, email hq@handandheart.eu with the subject line, United Against Workplace Bullying Conference 2023. First 3 to do it, boom, you're going to this conference. We recommend it so much. You can learn so much. And as we discuss in the interview, these types of conferences are not just a bunch of people standing around talking. This is solutions-orientated stuff. And it would seem, given the progress that Nicki shares with us in this interview, she is a solution-driven person as well. So she's curating this conference. You can know what to expect. Seriously, this is the Coachella of workplace bullying harassment conferences. So email hq@handandheart.eu. Let's see. Now, without further adieu, here is Nicki Eyre to talk about her recent win with her legislation and the United Against Workplace Bullying Harassment Conference 2023.
It's been an incredible year. So we are really, really fortunate. I think the last time that we spoke, we were still working with legal experts to draft a proposal to fill the gap in the law in the UK. And essentially what we were looking for is a legal definition of workplace bullying. We were looking for protection from day one, because for people who, if it is harassment, which is linked to the Equality Act, then that's about, race, sex, disability, all those kind of things. Then essentially people are protected from day one. But if it's non-discriminatory bullying, you can't do anything. You don't have any rights for 2 years. So we want protection from day one. We want people to be able to bring a claim without having to leave their jobs, because at the moment they have to resign and claim constructive dismissal. Or if they are so badly injured, they can go to the civil courts and claim for psychiatric injury. So not great options available to them. And we also want them to be able to claim for injury to feelings. So that was the initial proposal that we put forward. And we took that to Rachael Maskell MP, who is incredibly passionate about this subject. So it's not just for her, a hobby horse. It really is something that she cares about deeply. So she was the absolute perfect person to take this forward. And what she has done is extend that proposal so that it also includes a respect at work code for businesses, and to give the Equality and Human Rights Commission the powers to go in and investigate businesses where there are multiple complaints. Fantastic. So absolutely massive. And what she did with that proposal on the 11th of July this year, 23, she presented that in the House of Commons. So the Bullying and Respect at Work bill is now currently going through the House of Commons.
Fantastic work. Congratulations to you, Nicki, on that. It is genuinely incredible.
It's amazing. And, when she actually presented that on the day and I was watching it, it was so emotional and so incredibly moving to watch. I have to admit, I did have tears. So, yeah.
I think, of course, and I think what I want our listeners to understand about advocacy and the campaigning work that you do is that it is years. And I think you mentioned earlier as well that this has been 4 to 5 years of work in your life to get to this point. So I imagine it was a deeply profound moment for you.
Yeah, it has. And, I've had some incredible support along the way, surrounded myself with some amazing advisors and experts who have really helped bring this to life and bring it forward. I couldn't have done it without them, but it's.
It takes a village. It takes a village, and then eventually, the entire legislative body of a country. And while we still have probably a long ways to go, legislation does move slow. There has been a positive response so far to what was entered into Parliament in July, correct?
Yes. So we've seen some really positive pieces that have been put out in the media, in the press, from solicitors, from HR experts looking at this, and a real feeling that it's time. We really need that clarity around workplace bullying, and that's what people are looking for now. And we're starting to see it very much really come into the press a lot more as well. So we've had some really high-profile stories across the UK, I'm sure you've been aware of. So, not least our Deputy Prime Minister, who stepped down as a result of the findings that he had bullied people in the civil service. But it's far wider than that, much wider.
Yes, it does feel as though there have been multiple stories coming out of the UK, especially with high-profile organisations, publicly supported organisations that are experiencing these issues. Then you have people, the average punter who goes to work every day, who is likely seeing a rise in incidences. So it feels inevitable that these changes are going to come. It's just a case of how long does the resistance take? How long do these actions like what you're working on take?
Yeah, and like you mentioned there, legislation can take years to go through. So we never know when you start out on this journey if it is actually going to be enacted into law or not. So we have to just keep pushing forward and hoping that it will achieve that. I think, but what we're seeing is movement from the regulatory bodies as well to say we're starting to take this a lot more seriously. And that's in the legal sector, it's in the finance sector, it's across the board. We've got the creative industries as well, who are looking at putting together an independent standards authority, because they have so many freelancers in, film and TV, theatre, music, gaming, all those different areas. So they're putting together a board which should launch next year.
Amazing.
Yeah.
The arts industry is a crucial industry. Like you said, there's a lot of freelancers. There's also a lot of younger people, I should say, who their expectations of conduct in the workplace are very different to the average older person, we might say. So I'm seeing, and I'm sure you're seeing as well, a lot more vocalizations of what the expectations of workplaces are for younger people.
Yes, absolutely. And, I think they're coming into the workplace and they're just saying, we're not prepared to be treated this way. And we don't like the way you're working. We don't like these behaviours. And we're prepared to either just move on or speak up about it. And they're getting, a bit of pummeling for that, being called snowflakes and those kind of descriptions, which are really unfair, because actually there is a need for change across the whole workplace. And you will always get some people who don't really want to work, but actually that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about working practices and behaviours. And honestly, they're just creating stress and harm in the workplace. And if more people are standing up and saying, actually, we don't want that, then that can only be a positive thing.
Absolutely. And speaking of positive things, in line with all of this, you are bringing together all sorts of experts and professionals from across the workplace bullying field, and you are putting together the United Against Workplace Bullying Conference 2023. It's happening on November 14 and 15 this year. Can you tell us about this conference, how it started, and give us some insights into the programming for 2023?
Yeah, so we started this 4 years ago, and it was really going into the pandemic. So we run it during Anti-Bullying Week in the UK, and prior to the pandemic, I'd been out and done 2 or 3 talks locally, and suddenly in the pandemic that all had to stop. So we decided to go for an online version, and I thought, well, I'll do a couple of online webinars, and it turned into a full-blown conference. And I think what's amazing is that speakers come forward and they're really willing to speak on this subject. So that it's more a case of having too many speakers than not being able to find people to talk at these conferences. And so this year we've got an incredible lineup again. So day one, the theme is legislation and regulation. So I'll give you a quick overview of kind of the speakers and what's going to happen. So we're going to be a few opening comments by Matthew Taylor. And Matthew Taylor, he actually did a huge good work report for the government before going to his current role, which is CEO of the NHS Confederation. So he's, a real expert in terms of looking at the workplace. But more importantly, he's actually been on the receiving end of bullying himself, and he's spoken openly about that. We were on the same Radio 4 documentary, so he's just going to share some thoughts and really set the scene for the conference for us. And then we've got Georgina, who is going to be talking about the whistleblowing bill, and she's incredibly passionate about this. She's much further down her journey than we are, has not lost any of her passion and drive, and so she'll be talking about what that means as well. And then we've got the creative industries. We've got Jen Smith, who is the interim CEO of the Creative Industries Independent Standards Authority, or CIISA for short, which is
CIISA, we love that. We love an acronym.
Yeah. And then, following that, we've got people actually who are working on the ground in that industry, people who are working with the music industry, theatre, film and TV. And they're going to talk about kind of the challenges there are to changing the culture across that industry as well. So, it's not as simple as putting a regulatory board in and saying, well, that'll solve everything. There's a lot of work to do. And then we have Rachael Maskell MP and Liam Ryan, who's the barrister that helped form the proposal as well. So they're going to be telling us all about the bill and, where it's up to and what happens next, which is amazing.
Incredible. As I said this joke earlier, it doesn't quite hit the same, but this is the Coachella of workplace bullying conferences. It is, I'm telling you, people.
It's amazing who will come forward and talk. It's just incredible. So we've also got, an employment lawyer, a personal injury lawyer, Jess Rowson, who's also instrumental in bringing the bill forward as well. And also a neuroscientist coming together on a panel to really talk about kind of how the law works in practice, how that loophole restricts what they can do for people, but also how neuroscience can potentially help provide evidence in court cases as well.
Incredible.
So, yeah, and then finishing off in the day one with, again, more lawyers talking about the new regulations that have come through from the Solicitors Regulation Authority. But also we have people who are working in the bar sector as well. So the people who look after the employees in the bar sector and the work that they are doing to really help support those employees as well. So that's just day one.
That is just day one. Okay, what's on the agenda for day two? What can people get excited about?
Yeah, so day two is all about workplace solutions. So we have Stephen Adams kicking us off, and he will be talking about the positive dialogue framework, the different way we can approach finding solutions and resolution. We've got Roger Klein, who is talking about why a speak-up culture alone isn't enough. And Roger has some real insights into, he's done a lot of work with the NHS. So really interesting insights there. Mm-hmm. And then something a little bit different, Andrea Edmondson is going to be talking to us about polyvagal theory. And so how we can, manage the stress in the workplace as well. So that'll be amazing. Closely followed by Dr. Adam Harrison, he was a medical doctor. He's also qualified as a barrister. He's now an international coach. He's going to be talking about kindness in the workplace, kindness in leadership. So a really important topic. Mm-hmm. And then in the afternoon, we've got Laura Crawshaw, who is the president of the Boss Whispering Institute, who are also sponsoring the conference. And Laura's incredible. So she talks about the abrasive leader and getting your managers to grow a spine. And she really has some incredible examples. Just talking to her and some of her experiences are just, well, they kind of really put things into perspective.
No, totally. And with that particular subject, that is something that we've spoken a lot about with our listenership. And it's a topic where if you can hear an expert with the credentials, as your speaker has, please go, please attend, because developing an in-depth understanding of abrasive leadership can be a game changer in the workplace. So you really couldn't get a better expert than going to this conference.
I mean, Laura Crawshaw is just amazing. So happy to have her with us this year. We've got Fran McGregor from Huddersfield University. She's an HR lecturer. She's going to be talking about whether or not there needs to be a single target. So we talk about a bullying boss who treats everybody badly. Now, are they a bully because they don't have a single target, or, do we need a different word there? So it's really interesting. We're just going to be exploring that and going around that subject. And then we're going to finish off with a fantastic neuroscience session. So we have Shazia Shah and Naomi Glover, who are neuroscientists. Naomi also was one of the co-founders of the Applied Neuroscience Association. We've got Pat Ferris, who has worked with targets of workplace bullying and businesses for, over 25 years. She's a real expert in the neurobiology of workplace bullying as well. And also Jen Fraser, who is author of The Bullied Brain. So collectively, they're going to be talking about, can workplace bullying cause a brain injury?
That is so fascinating, Nicki, and it could be a game changer, having a conversation like that and really understanding the science. What are the implications for workers moving forward if it is true, if it is really the case?
And we've got a white paper that's coming out shortly as well, where we've worked with them on that. So hopefully that will start to really highlight some of those conversations and get more conversations going and more research, hopefully, in this area too.
Fingers crossed. And again, just to reiterate, it is the Coachella of workplace bullying conferences, not only because of the curation that has gone into the experts, the professionals, the subject matter, but also because this is really something that I think is solution focused, as you've mentioned, and that is the game changer, and why I would encourage people who listen to this podcast in particular, whether you're a practitioner or a worker, to be going along to a conference like this. It is solution focused. So beyond that, what is it that you would like people to be getting out of this conference by attending?
I think it's really raising awareness, looking at, the people that we've got here, like you said, they are solution focused. It's not just about talking about the subject, it's about really sharing the actions that can be taken. And that's really important. We can sit and talk about things all day long, can't we? And I mean, I obviously can.
Take two, baby.
But actually, it's really about knowing that there are people out there taking action. There are things that you can do. There are, there's going to be people sharing things that you can take away and implement in your workplace straight away. So, as well as the bigger picture around legislation.
Exactly right. So the important information people need to know is that this is happening on November 14 and 15, 2023. You can access the conference online. We have the link to be able to purchase tickets in the description below. Highly encourage people to go along and take away these learnings. Mentioned it earlier, haven't mentioned it yet in this recording, but we will be sponsoring 3 tickets for our listeners to be able to attend this conference, the full conference ticket, to ensure that there is a chance for those who may not normally get to attend something like this to actually be able to go along. Is there anything else people need to know about being able to attend this conference right now, Nicki?
First of all, thank you. That is just an amazing offer, and I really appreciate you doing that. In terms of attending, then, yeah, it's all obviously GMT time. So, but everything is recorded. So anybody who is a delegate who has a ticket, then they will receive the recordings for an unlimited period of time. And you can buy a conference ticket for one day or both days. So if you're only interested in one day, absolutely just do that. So we've tried to make it as, the best value possible, to make it available to as many people as possible. And we'd just love to have people there and join in the conversations.
Exactly right. So we are going to make sure that we are getting this message out to everyone. I can't wish you as much luck as possible for this conference, Nicki. Now, in regards to your other work, keeping up with your legislative campaigning, how can people keep up with the work that you are doing?
So if they want to go to the website, conductchange.co.uk, there's a section on the website which is called Stop Hurt at Work. And there is a page about the legislation. So it has the history, but also any updates will go onto that page. And they can sign up for the newsletter as well. And one of the things we're going to be asking people to do in the future as well is to actually write to their MPs. So probably in the new year, we'll have a little bit of a push on this again. We'll make sure that the template letter on there is updated so that people can write to their MPs and ask them to support Rachael Maskell in her work and to support the bill as it goes through Parliament.
Incredible. And to end things off, Nicki, I did just want to touch on, there have been some successes this year. There's a long way to go, obviously. But what I want our listeners to sort of fully grasp is that this is the result of years of persistence and work on your side. Obviously, there's the village attached to you, but your side. So I just want to know how you're feeling at the moment with these recent developments and with the conference coming up.
I feel so much more optimistic. It feels like it's been a really big year and that things are really starting to change, starting to move. The response that we've had, the conversations that are opening up, it's just incredible. And I just feel it's time, things are coming together and it has come at the right time. And yeah.
That's a funny feeling, isn't it, when it's been so long, but it is also the right time?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, on that note, congratulations again on the progress. I'm sure this won't be the last time you'll be bringing us good news. I'm hoping.
I hope to bring you even more good news as we go forward.
Thank you so much, Nicki, and we'll leave it there for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Workplace Worldwide is produced by Kate Bailey and the team at Hand and Heart Media. For any inquiries related to this broadcast, please email hq@handandheart.eu. And don't forget to follow us on the gram at handandheart.eu. Original music is composed and performed by Amanda and produced by Amanda with Kyle Startup. You can follow Amanda and Kyle Startup on Instagram or listen to their music on Spotify, Apple, or SoundCloud. If you love Amanda's music, we do too, and we ask you to please consider buying it directly from Bandcamp. Support indie, always. Thanks for listening. We appreciate your support.